Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever and whenever you are. My name is Benjamin, and welcome to part. Well, geez, what part are we on now? Part 7 of our mobile RPG series. This series is sponsored by my Kickstarter, so check that out. There will be a card in the video and a link in the description. Let's get started. In this video, we're going to kind of do the same thing we did with our action buttons, but with enemies, so that we can add more enemies to the game and add different enemy types. So there will be a link in the description to a new slime enemy. I have imported a new slime.png, and so we'll be using that to create new enemies. So let's look at our current enemy. And you can see the enemy has some different properties, a sprite, an animation for animating the enemy, and we've got an attack that the enemy does right here, and dealing damage, and the enemy has some properties up here. So a couple things we're going to change here. We need to change the way enemies do health a little bit, so that we can modify this variable with each new enemy and do it quite easily. So we're going to do export int var HP. And what that allows us to do is, if you look at our enemy now, you can see our HP variable is right here, and we can easily modify it as we wish right there. And we're also going to add a new variable. Oh, we can remove target as well. We don't need that. We can add a new variable, export int var attack. We'll set this equal to 3 for the rat. And we'll save that. And then you can see we've got a new variable over here because we exported this that allows us to modify the enemy's attack. Perfect. Now our deal damage should use our attack variable. Well, I mean, we could call this damage instead of attack. Set it to 4 because that's what we were at before. And change this to damage. So when the enemy deals damage, it will deal whatever the damage amount that the enemy is set to. So you can easily create new enemies by altering their health value and their damage value. And you could also extend the enemy so that its attack does something completely different, other than running the attack animation and dealing damage. You could have it do whatever you wanted here. But we won't worry about that for this one. So we have a problem though, and the problem is our enemy. Well, this might not be that much of a problem. It might be okay for this game actually. Let's just pretend like it's not a problem and see how things go. And if it is a problem, we'll fix it. So now that we've got our enemy set up, we actually need to create a new inherited scene. New inherited scene. We're going to inherit from enemy, and we're going to call this rat, and we can literally just leave it the way it is. We'll save this scene and save as rat. Okay, then we'll create a new inherited scene again. We'll inherit from enemy, open. We'll call this slime, and then we'll need to alter the image here. So we'll drag the slime image over. So now we've got our slime. I wonder how that compares with the rat. Pretty good, position-wise and stuff. So we've got our slime. And then if we click here, we can change the values here. So let's give the slime a lower attack, like 3, but higher HP, like 35. And we can update the health label to be 35 here. I don't remember if our code would update it. We'll save this slime. but you could have the code update it. I'm not sure. So now we come back into battle, and we've got our enemy. It looks like we may have moved. Let's click on enemy. Let's do .tscn here again. Open up enemy. Did I move the animation? I did. We want the animation to start here. There we go. And we might have to... No, that one's already there. And that one's... Oh, that's the enemy rat. That one's there as well. Okay. Okay, now we're looking good. So we're going to... what is this enemy connected to here? It's on enemy die is connected to battle, which just hides the battle action buttons. So we've still got some coupling here. Our enemy is connected to our battle scene still. And we're going to need to fix that. So first, let's remove this, disconnect this signal from enemy. And then we'll come into battle and we'll remove this. We'll save. And then our battle has access to battle units, so we could technically make that connection ourselves, which is what we might end up doing, and I'll show you how to do that. We'll see. We'll see how we end up doing that. But then we can remove enemy here. Delete nodes, okay. And we'll add the slime enemy instead. So slime, drag it, drop it right here. I want to move it up so it's up above. Right there. Turn on our mock-up so we can see position-wise about where we are. I don't even remember. We could drag out the rat. That's probably fine. Well, what we probably want is an actual position that they're attached to. I think we can do that. So let's add a new node, position 2D, and we'll drag this node and drop it somewhere around here. We'll drag it over here, call this enemy position, and then we can just delete this and drop our slime right on enemy position, and it will be positioned right there, and we'll just see how well that works. Although I forgot we need to hide this, the mockup, and then we're getting an error message. That's okay. Invalid set text on base nil with value of type string. HP label. So it's having a hard time getting our HP label variable. And this is because we're setting our HP to something different before the label. So remember how we exported this variable and then we changed the slime's HP? Well, that means it's actually setting that variable, the slime's HP variable, this HP variable, before the HP label has actually been created. And I think you can actually do onReady for the HP var there, and that will fix it. I'm not sure. Let's give it a try. Nil. No, that doesn't seem to fix it, so let's remove that. And the one way to fix this is just to say if HP label does not equal null. And I think this will work, but I think that this means we'll have to always be sure to update the enemy's label ourselves. And there is a way around this because I have figured it out. I just don't remember what it is. But now the slime has 35 health, but should do less damage to us. And you can see it's using the same animations that our other enemy had, and that's what we wanted. And it deals quite a bit less damage. We should heal though, because mana is in short supply. So the minute we have enough, the minute we're damaged and we have enough mana, we should always use it. And there you go. We've killed the enemy. Our buttons here don't work. We can't heal or use a sword. Although heal would actually work right now. But they're not gone anymore because of our enemy situation. So I'm thinking we'll have maybe a button up here that's like enter next room or go to next room. And we can hide these down here when the enemy dies. So how are we going to do that? Because we're going to be creating a new enemy each time we enter a new room, right? And that new enemy will have to be able to tell Battle when it has died so that Battle can then properly show that button. And so let's add the button for entering a new room. Let's come to 2D here. And we'll hide our enemy position. And we will come to UI. Let's create a new center container. And we'll just stretch this across here. And stats panel. Okay. Well, so center containers, whatever control node is inside of them will be centered. So we'll put a new button. You can see it's perfectly centered now. And we'll call this enter next room. Maybe we'll do a return here. Enter next. We can't do a return on this kind of button apparently. But that should be okay. Let's set our min size. Let's try 70 for our width and 13 for the height, which is just a really wide but the same height as these. And this button will be called next room button. And we'll want to connect it to Battle. And this will be static. It won't change. We'll just hide it and show it depending on if the enemy is dead. So we'll connect this one we'll connect its press to Battle on next room button pressed. And inside of here, we'll have some code like Battle action buttons.show. Well, you could do like a transition. We should probably do some sort of a transition, huh? And I have an idea of how we could do one pretty easily. So yeah, let's do that. This is kind of, I'm winging it here. I'm winging it, so who knows how this is going to go. I mean, I always wing it a little bit sometimes, but this is major winging it. So inside of our Battle, we'll add an animation player. And inside of our UI, we'll also add a color rect. And we'll make this color rect take up the entire screen. So don't put it inside of UI. Put it outside of UI, but below it. And then make this black, like this. Why doesn't that look black? Okay, it is. Make it take up the full screen, so on layout, do full rect. So it's taken up the entire room. But then set its modulate property, set the alpha value. Let's see. Yeah, set the alpha value to 0. We'll call this fade. And then we'll save. Then our animation player, we'll create a new animation. We'll call this fade to new room. And this will take like 0.3 seconds, 0.3 of a second maybe. That seems like it would be good. And in this animation, we'll start off by keying, we'll key the modulate property right here, okay? Because we already set it to transparent. Let's do our snap at 0.05 so we can go, we'll zoom in a little too, so that we can go halfway in between here. And at this point, we will set our alpha value all the way back up and we'll key it. And then we'll come, ooh, that's fancy. Never seen that. Huh. Then we'll come all the way to the end, set our modulate all the way back down to 0 alpha and key that. There you go. And I'm going to choose to set this to cubic right here. That should make it a little bit smoother. That's actually pretty fast. We actually might want to do this longer, like 0.5. And then you should be able to grab your keys and just move them. Do we want it to like have different speeds? Like maybe fade out slowly, fade in quick, like that? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. You can kind of mess around with the timing and stuff to get it however you want. I think I like it to fade out a little bit slower and then fade in quick, like that. So I've got 0, 0.35, and then 5. Okay. We'll set this all the way back to here, save, and then inside of battle, we then need to get access to our animation player. So on ready var animation player, get access to it. And then here, when the next room button is pressed, what we're going to do is immediately hide that button. So we'll need access to it. On ready var next room button. Okay. So then we'll say next room button dot hide. So we'll hide it. And we'll say animation player dot play fade to new room. And then we'll say yield animation player animation finished, I think is what the signal's called. So then it will wait until the animation has been finished, and then it will show the new battle actions. Sure, we'll just do that. And it will create a new enemy. Create new enemy. Now, creating a new enemy is going to be a function that we'll write. And we can have it do whatever we want. For now, let's just print something. Print created enemy. Yay. Okay, looking good. So we still need a way to know whether our enemy has died. And I think what we'll do is we'll still use the signal from the enemy. We will just... Well, we could... That's kind of a tricky thing to do here. I'm trying to come up with a good way of doing this. So we'll want to show this, or show the slime, and we'll want to hide the next room button for now. So our slime we could have the slime connect itself to the battle when it enters the room, but we're going to have to be careful about it so that the slime knows not to do it if the battle if it's not in the actual game. So if we just run the scene on its own, then it doesn't break. Or we could have the battle try and connect to the slime. But each time we create a new enemy, we're going to have to reconnect it. But that seems like that should work fine. So let's start with that one. So on ready, we're going to say if, let's see, we'll do var enemy equals battle units.enemy. If enemy does not equal null, enemy dot connect. So this is how you can manually connect signals. So first we're going to tell it what signal to connect, which is died. We're going to tell it who to connect to, which is self, or our example is the battle unit. And then we'll tell it what function that it's going to run when that signal fires. And we'll call this on enemy died. Okay, now we have to create that function. So we come down here, let's create a new function underscore on enemy died, and then right here we're going to do next room button dot show battle action buttons dot hide, and that's it. Now, why is this different from connecting it? Why is this different from connecting the signal this way? Because this way is easier, right? This is easier. It's an easier way to connect it. Well, the reason it's different is because this way is dynamic, meaning we can do it while the game is running versus doing it before the game is running. And we're actually going to have to do this again when we create a new enemy. So create new enemy is going to create an enemy, and then we're also going to connect that enemy as well. It won't look exactly like this though, so we probably won't have anything there yet. But that'll be the idea. We'll create a new enemy and then we'll connect this signal, the died signal again. Okay, let's try this. So sword. Okay, so this is a really important thing to learn. Our sword, why aren't our buttons working anymore? Well, the reason they're not working is because in Godot, the way that input is handled is that it captures input on the top or the bottommost, if you're looking at the scene tree over here, on the bottommost control node in the scene. So our fade control node takes up the entire screen right here. And so it's actually capturing that click event and not letting it propagate down to everything under it. And that's sometimes what you want, right? If you have a window with a button and that's on top of another button that the game is hiding, you don't want to be able to click the button that's underneath it, right? But in this case, it's confusing because this is invisible. And so, but it's still capturing the input. So to fix that, we can click on our fade here, come to mouse, come to filter, and do ignore. That way this control node will ignore mouse inputs. And so then it won't actually capture them, and the buttons will be able to work. And now you can see they're working again. But that's an important thing to learn because it happens a lot, to be honest. Okay. Boom, enemy died. Okay, it didn't work. And we got an error message. So what's our error? Error calling method from signal died. Method not found. So that means inside of battle, I didn't, let's see, on enemy died. On enemy, oops, I did lowercase here. Enemy died. I want it to be, I try to follow the same conventions that Godot uses. You can see it does underscore on, and then next room button is capitalized because it's actually a node, and then the signal is lowercase. So I did the same thing. On enemy is a node, died. Okay, there we go. Let's clear our debugger. We've got some warnings that we'll probably want to clean up as well. Okay. Enter next room and click on that. Boom, fades in. We enter the next room, our buttons appear, and it says create an enemy, yay. But we didn't actually create an enemy yet, so let's do that. How do we want to do this? Let's have a list of enemies that we're going to choose from. And it can be an array, and we'll export it maybe. That could be cool. Let's do that. So our battle node right here, we're going to export, and we'll do an array, and we can tell it what kind of thing that we're going to export. We're going to do pack scenes, because that's what our TSCN, those are all pack scenes. Var enemies, will be enemies, equals, and then we'll just do an empty array. Now what does that do? If we click on battle, we've got an enemies array over here. And if we click on this, we've got a size set. Well, we only have 2 enemies, so we'll set the size to 2. And then you can see that adds 2 values over here that we can then bring in. So we'll say drag the rat enemy in, drop it there. Drag the slime enemy in, drop it there. So these are the 2 enemies. The nice thing about this is if you add more enemies that you want it to choose from, you can then add to this size and drag and drop more enemies into here, and then it will automatically use those new enemies. So our battle has a list of enemies. Now when we create a new enemy, we're going to pick one of them. And so we'll say, we'll say enemies dot shuffle. So this will shuffle our enemies array during the game so that we never get the same enemy. And then we'll say var enemy equals enemies dot front. So that will get the very first enemy in our list of enemies. And we can say, oops, except this is going to be uppercase enemy because it's the scene. It's not the instance of the scene yet. So then we'll say var enemy equals enemy dot instance. And we need access to our enemy start position. So let's get that up here. On ready var enemy start position equals enemy. Well, let's just call it enemy position. Start position is actually a better name, but. And then we can say enemy position dot add child enemy. And we don't have to set its position because it'll be a child of the start position, so that will automatically set it into position. It'll be position 0, 0, but it'll be 0, 0 relative to this enemy position, so it'll be created right where we want it. Let me explain that better. If you look at the transform of our slime, it's 0, 0. That's because this position is relative to the enemy's position, which is 46, 29. So, but the actual node is still 0, 0. And when we create it, it'll automatically put it at 0, 0, so we don't have to move it. Now we need to remember to connect our signal. So enemy.connect. What signal? Died. To who? Self, which is the battle. What's the function? Underscore on, underscore enemy, underscore died. And there we go. Save. And I think we show the battle actions, right? So we should be good to go. Let's run this. Got our enemy. Let's kill him. Okay. Enter next room. Oh, we got the rat this time. It doesn't reset our action points. We might want to reset the action points. What do you guys think? I think it makes sense to reset the action points. So let's do that. We'll say var player stats equals battle units dot player stats dot action points equals player stats dot max action points. And the other thing you'll notice is that it will actually always choose the same order of enemies. And so if you want to fix that, in your ready function, you'll want to call randomize, which will randomize your seed so that it doesn't choose the same order of enemies every time. Sword, 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 oops, dang it, heal, you should always heal if you can. Heal, sword, sword, enter next room. Okay, we got a rat, sword, sword. It didn't seem to reset our action points, did it? Did you guys? I wasn't paying attention. It didn't seem to work though. Let's try this one more time. Okay, action points are at 2. Enter next room. It's not resetting our action points. Did I not save? It must be an order thing. Let's actually move this here to be under right here when we show our new battle actions. So we'll move the part where we set the action points, and we'll do it right before we show the new battle actions and create the new enemy. Sword, heal, sword, sword, sword. Enter next room. There we go. Action points are reset properly. Sword, heal, sword. Gotta use sword every time that time. We can heal. Enter next room. There we go. And we've got the basics for our RPG dungeon. There's one more video I want to make though, I realized. I want to make a video that allows you to hover over certain elements and have the information about them displayed down here. Are you guys seeing this glitch? We can just continue using it even with 0 action points. And we've got a bug here. Let's see. Resumed after yield, but class instance is gone. So that is probably... What is that caused by? Resumed after yield, but class instance is gone. Well, great. This is what happens when you wing it. What this error message means is that one of our yields, like this yield, for example, although it's likely not this one, is resuming, but then the enemy is no longer there. And so my guess is that it actually has to do with one of the enemy animations, which isn't completing. Maybe our shake one doesn't get used if the enemy's dead, right? But it's possible that the shake animation is already playing when we attack again. So we're attacking so quickly, like that, but on the right when we kill it. So let me show you what I mean. Oh, I messed up. It won't work this time now. Let me fix it. Okay, 1, 2. Okay, so this should be perfect. Okay, so if I attack it and it starts the animation and then I immediately attack it again, it will die before the animation completes and it will break the game. See, watch. Now we can just attack. Oh. Well, maybe I'm wrong. I thought that was the problem. But this time it is broken. So I'll have to figure out exactly what's going on there. And I wanted to do one more video anyways, so now we're for sure going to do one more video. So I'll do a video that fixes this error, this bug in the code, which has to do with our yield. I'm 100% certain it has to do with yield. I thought it was with the shake, but maybe it's with the attack. Maybe something's going wrong with attack. I don't know. Either way, I'll figure it out. We'll make a video to clean that up and then add a method for hovering over stuff to get information about it, like what the sword does, what heal does, what enemies do. And that way we're actually using this UI down here that we've set up. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it and learned something. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you all in the next video.